Texas held its primary elections last night. Believe it or not, the midterm elections are now a mere 8 months from now. Democrats are looking to make gains everywhere, and they may. But long term, the state of Texas is their top priority, and it's easy to see why. Texas is a huge state. It's the biggest state that votes Republican. If Texas goes blue, goes Democrat, it's over. Republicans cannot win a presidential election without Texas. America would then be a one-party state for a generation at least, and maybe longer, given the modern left's growing intolerance for anything that resembles public dissent. So with the stakes so high, and they are, what wouldn't Democrats do in order to win? Why wouldn't they encourage non-citizens to vote? Of course, they're already doing that explicitly in other states. In Texas, it would make all the difference. Texas has the second highest percentage of non-citizens in America after California. There are more than 3 million non-citizens in the state overall. For perspective, Hillary Clinton lost Texas by only 800,000 votes. So you do the math. The temptation is there. It's overwhelming. So what actually stops non-citizens from voting in Texas? Good question. Not much. Registration in that state is conducted on the honor system, as it is in many states, most. The only way that you are outed as a non-citizen voter in Texas is when you decide to admit that you are. Texas just assumes that all voters are telling the truth. Imagine if jewelry stores had the same policy, and they assumed that nobody would ever consider stealing a necklace. That's crazy. Well, elections are more important than necklaces, but for some reason, we don't act that way in most states. According to the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, there is already ample evidence of widespread illegal voting in Texas. The state just investigated 4 of its 254 counties and 165 unlawfully registered non-citizens who'd been removed from the voter rolls. Those non-citizens had cast more than 100 illegal votes before they were caught, which kind of makes you wonder what's happening in the state's other 250 counties. We don't know. We can guess. So you even mentioned the possibility of illegal voting, and the left pretends, well, that's not real. It's not even possible. Of course, they know better because, again, it's happening. They're lying because voter fraud benefits them. This is what foreign interference actually looks like in an election. Democrats are openly pushing it. When they aren't making it easier for illegal immigrants to register to vote, they are fighting efforts to identify fraudulent voters. Then they're demanding outright amnesty would make the whole scheme legal if it passed. Republicans are helping them with that for some reason. A brand new electorate from a different foreign country. That's what they want. Vladimir Putin was never that ambitious, by the way. J. Christian Adams is president and general counsel of the Public Interest Legal Foundation. His organization has been trying to obtain voter roll information from 2 of the largest counties in Texas in an effort to expose illegal registrations. He joins us tonight. Christian, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Tucker.
So when you hear people say this doesn't happen, I mean, there's so many questions. We know what happens. The real question is, why aren't states, why isn't Texas specifically doing anything to prevent non-citizens from registering?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Sometimes the left gets involved in litigation. They try to stop us from doing anything. There's a trial taking place in Kansas right now because Kansas tried to do something. And the ACLU and a whole bunch of international law firms, Deckert, big, huge law firm.
Deckert?
Deckert is
Why would Deckert, Price and Rhodes try to abet illegal voting?
Well, that's what they're doing. They're attacking the state of Kansas citizenship verification. Look, Tucker, Americans should be electing American officials, not foreigners. In Texas, we asked for the voter roll cancellations of non-citizens in Harris County, which is Houston, and Barra County, which is San Antonio.
Right.
We have a right to that information under federal law. Those 2 counties are stonewalling us and not letting us see the data.
Where's the Attorney General of Texas in this?
The Attorney General in Texas, Ken Paxton, is doing a great job on this because, let me tell you, the problem's worse than you just introed. It's much worse than that. They're finding in Texas non-citizens on the rolls across the state, and they're doing it in a way that very few states are doing. Most states have the honor system. You check a box, you say you're a citizen, you're on the rolls, period. No further investigation.
I don't understand. We've spent the last 2 years embroiled in a scandal that has basically stopped normal work in Washington, and it surrounds the idea of foreign interference in American elections. Here you have actual documented evidence that foreign citizens are affecting election outcomes. They're voting, the most sacred thing citizens do. And the left says, yeah, we want more of that. How does that work?
Well, because they like it. That's why it works, is because they enjoy how foreigners are voting. And so they hide the ball, they lie, they don't tell the truth about the extent of the problem. They try to prevent us from figuring out how bad the problem really is. And so that's what the left...
That is so cynical. It's hard to believe. As cynical as I am, it's hard to believe that that's actually happening, but it is. So, but my question is, Illinois is a Democratic state. It's got a fake Republican governor, but Texas has a real Republican governor. It's overwhelmingly Republican. For now, that'll change soon if they don't get this under control. So why doesn't the legislature pass a law saying you have to show that you're a citizen before you register?
Well, they may well do that in Texas. It's called documentary proof of citizenship. That's what Kansas did. That's why Deckard is suing Kansas along with the ACLU. Anybody who tries to do something about this, whether it's my organization, we have a case in Starr County, the ACRU, where we're getting non-citizen records in this tiny little border county. Anybody who tries to do something about this is attacked by the left, by big money.
But on what ground? I mean, look, I know that the truth is they want voter fraud because it gives them power and that's all they care about. I get that. But what's the pretext? Like, what's their excuse for preventing citizenship verification?
Same one that the Oakland mayor said. It's racist. If you attempt to verify citizenship, you're discriminating against Hispanics. That's in the pleadings in the ACLU.
Really? Because guess whose vote gets diluted by this? African Americans who've been here for hundreds of years, and if anybody, they have a right to representation, and their vote is becoming irrelevant because of this. Does the Congressional Black Caucus ever speak up about this?
No, and that's what's happening in Los Angeles City Council, as a matter of fact. Because of non-citizens being counted in Los Angeles, African Americans do not have as many seats because of non-citizen Hispanics being counted in Los Angeles.
I hope someone speaks up because it needs it. Thank you. Christian, great to see you.
You too, Tucker.
Immigrants' welfare benefits, driver's licenses, in-state tuition, state-funded attorneys to fight American immigration law. They think King Steinley's killer has more rights than you do. When you confront them on any of this, they say that American citizens just aren't impressive enough. They're too fat, too lazy, too addicted to drugs. They demand decent wages. They insist on constitutional rights like, I don't know, freedom of speech, the right to bear arms. All very inconvenient. Some of them said that out loud. Bill Kristol basically said that out loud. Democratic leaders would like to see these people replaced by compliant foreigners who will serve the ruling class without complaint. Well, do voters actually support any of that? Well, actually, they don't. But it doesn't matter. Democrats know if they import enough new voters, they'll be able to run the country forever. Would you want to live in that country? Probably not. But judge for yourself. California Democratic Senator Kamala Harris recently told the rest of us that California, her state, is our future. Listen.
These folks are really mired in rolling back the clock in time, and that's not going to happen. California represents the future, and they don't like it, but there you go.
Yeah, they don't like it, but California is our future, says future presidential candidate Kamala Harris. What would that mean, actually, if the future were California? Well, California has more poverty than any state. It has the highest number of residents who don't speak English at home. According to U.S. News, it has the lowest quality of life in the entire country, 50 out of 50 states. Housing prices are totally out of control. Homelessness is overwhelming. Go there and see for yourselves. Hypodermic needles literally piling up in the street. The middle class can't flee fast enough. In the past decade, 1 million more people have moved out of California than have moved in. A U-Haul from San Jose to Phoenix costs 10 times as much as a U-Haul going the other way, because no one's going the other way. This is the future that Kamala Harris is boasting about. All this could soon, by the way, be a political problem for Democrats. The midterms are coming up this fall. Democrats are going to win seats for sure. The out party always does. Republicans have made some really dumb mistakes. They're going to win seats. The question is, will they retake Congress? According to all predictions, they should. They've definitely promised their voters they're going to retake Congress. And yet, in spite of all these advantages, they may not. They may fall short. Why? Because their positions on immigration are radical and crazy, and they have no popular support. In a democracy, popular support still matters. Brian Dean Wright is a Democrat. He's also a former CIA operative who says the open borders agenda is not sustainable, virtuous as it may be, and he joins us tonight. So, Brian, what do you mean by that? Why is it not sustainable to let every poor person in the world move here?
Well, here's the bottom line. This argument, this debate has really focused on the past. How have past immigrants made America's greatness? Exactly. And indeed they have. We all have connections to the fantastic immigrant communities, right? So what's happening now and in the next 15 to 20 years? And what we're seeing is something not related or connected to politics, but actually technology. And what is happening in robotics, automation, and machine learning is it's really effectively making human labor less and less important and relevant. And that's especially true for jobs that immigrants hold. And by the way, blue-collar folks and people of color in inner cities in particular.
Exactly.
So the Obama administration came out with this study in late 2016, right before they left, and they said, look, we're on the verge of losing jobs. If you have them under $20 an hour, you are likely, and I'm going to quote, going to be automated into obsolescence. Basically, your job's going to go away. And they said if you earn less than $20 an hour, you can forget about any kind of quality of life, right? So these are the kinds of jobs that immigrants take.
For more than 2 million people here illegally, none of them white, is white supremacy. How does that work?
Well, I think we have to take a step back and look at this from the beginning. The reason why we're in this chaos situation of young people's lives being on the line is because the president rescinded DACA, the program that gave undocumented young people the ability to work and go to school and drive and pay taxes. He ended that program, and that is why we're in this situation. And let's be very clear. Since you want to do that and dispute property,
stop. No. No, I'm going to ask you a question.
And so now it's my turn to speak.
I don't believe it is. Right? I want to ask you a question about the discussion today, not about the roots of DACA, which I'm happy to debate with you in some other forum. I want to ask about the response today to this proposal released last night, which is that it's white supremacy. And I would like you to tell me if you believe it is, and if so, how.
You would let me.
If you could give me a crisp answer and not filibuster, I'd appreciate it.
Listen. It was Donald Trump who ended the DACA program, and he did so because he wanted to hold hostage and use as bargaining chips the lives of 800,000 undocumented people who have been here their entire lives, who are American in every single way. And now what we're trying to do is to create a second-class citizen. Okay, that's what this program does. It says
so. Are you not going to answer my question? This is giving people who are here illegally are getting amnesty and a path to citizenship, which is what you've been asking for, and you're calling that white supremacy. None of those people are white, so how is it white supremacy?
But at what price? I'm not calling it white supremacy. I don't think those words have come out of my mouth.
They've come out of the mouth of
I'm not calling it white supremacy
ranking Democrat.
What I am saying is that this plan, what it does is it creates a second-class citizen, because it says that the dreamers can become citizens themselves, but they cannot sponsor their parents. They cannot sponsor their siblings. And those rights are different than the rights that you have. And you just said earlier that this plan, the 2 million people, that none of them are white, which is untrue, because there are undocumented white people. There are 50,000 undocumented Irish people living in New York City.
Sure.
So there are.
You're absolutely right. They're not covered by this. So that's my only point. You're absolutely right. There are definitely undocumented white immigrants.
There are dreamers who are white, Tucker.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but it's an indefinite.
I
absolutely believe you. It's just it's an look. I don't care actually about the race of the dreamers.
You don't have to believe me. It's a fact.
I do believe you. My only point is that what you're seeing today is not an expression of white supremacy, so I wish you and your friends would stop making that point, because it's a lie and it's divisive. That's my only point. And because it's not true, and it makes people hate each other. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It is a plan that would potentially make 2 million people, who are mostly people of color, have less rights than white citizens. So that is racist.
Okay, so it's racist you come in the country illegally, as you did. You have a moral right to let your relatives come to?
Well, first of all, I did not come into the country illegally. Let's get the facts straight. I came to the U.S. on a plane, on a tourist visa. So I did not come into this country illegally.
I thought that you overstayed. I'm sorry, I totally misunderstood your bio.
I did overstay my visa, but I did not come into the country illegally.
Oh, you were here illegally. Okay. So I guess that's what I just said. But my
point is,
the other
point that you're missing
if you are
is
here
that an
illegally,
8-year-old, a 2-year-old cannot break the law. It was their parents who brought them to this country.
The parents who brought them to this country.
Of their own.
Right. So you're saying that the parents who brought them to this country now have a moral right to become citizens also. And I'm wondering where that right comes from.
Listen, if I am now a U.S. citizen, and if I want my mother to be able to come visit me and to be able to come be with me as a United States citizen, I should have that right. You have that right, right? If you had a mother who lived in a different country, you would be able to sponsor her.
So you sneak into the country, you bring your child, that child gets citizenship, and now you have a right to citizenship because you're the one who caused this problem, that parent, in the first place by bringing your child here illegally, but I have to, as a citizen, give you citizenship? How does that work exactly? No, but why should I be for that?
going back to the point I was making at the beginning of the segment, which is that the reason we are in this situation is because the president ended DACA, and then he tasked Congress with coming up with a solution
you want to have that debate, but let's talk about.
But
look,
now
actually,
you're
not answering my question.
That Dreamer Lives should pay for a $25 billion
No. So you're saying if I sneak into someone else's country and bring my child, and the people of that country are kind enough to give that child citizenship, that I somehow deserve it too? Because why? Why? That's a simple